Ladies and gentlemen, I now take this opportunity to invite Dr. Jehan Perera, the Executive Director of the National Peace Council.
First of all, I'd like to thank those who organized this, Transparency and the other partner organizations, and Professor Arjuna, who spent a lot of time and effort, writing this report and consulting us about it. I'd also like to thank all of you who are present here, especially those who are our elected representatives. I regret, however, that the government is not here. Maybe they're very busy. But this is a very important subject that we are discussing. This is the civil society view of how our country can get out of this morass that we are in, something that we never dreamt about when we were studying and growing up. We always thought our country was a fairly prosperous country, a good country, looking after all its people, and now we find that what we believed in is no longer true. I think in this, in our diagnostic, we will find two major themes. One, the theme of accountability, and going along with it, impunity, that our leaders can't be held to account. They can do whatever they want, and they get away with it, especially when there are no elections. And the second theme, which I will be focusing on, is that of inclusion. Because I believe it is the problem of inclusion, or rather of exclusion, that created the conflict in our country, the ethnic conflict, the national conflict, right from the dawn of independence. However, we must also not forget that there are other problems of exclusion in our country. On two occasions, the youth, the underclass, the underprivileged, the rural youth rose in revolt in 1971 and 1988-89, because they were excluded from the table, from deciding on the direction this country was going to go in. Now, but I will focus on the issue of the ethnic conflict and reconciliation. And I want to start with the dawn of our history. What happened then? At the very dawn of history, of independence, 1948, a section of our people were excluded, were denied their citizenship rights. Today we are commemorating the 200th anniversary of those people who came to this country. At that time, it was 125 years. We know that when we go to foreign countries, now our people are going to foreign countries. They're going to try and get a better life for their children. And within 5 years, they are hoping to get the citizenship. Maybe they get it in 10 years. Here, these people were here for 125 years. And our leaders, our first leaders, decided that they were not going to be a part of our country. That was an act of exclusion, and there has been no accountability for that. No accountability, no reparation still, because those people living in the plantations are today, according to the World Bank statistics, the poorest in the country, where the poverty level is the highest, 50%. So one of the recommendations in this report is that the plantation economy should be restructured. Even now, they are getting 1,000 rupees a day for plucking the tea. That's not a living wage. But the plantation companies say they can't pay more because they are not making enough profit. Then something should be done. the plantation economy needs to be restructured quite clear. And if you look at it, the smallholder section, which accounts for about 60% of the land, is producing 75% of the tea. So it shows that if this land can be restructured and given to those people to work on, maybe we will earn more, it will contribute to the dollars that we need. The second recommendation that we have in our report is about provincial councils, about devolution of power. Today, those are not burning issues in the polity, understandably so for the majority of people, because that's not such a problem. It's not a problem to them, but it is a problem to the country. Because until we share power, until we devolve power, share power, include the ethnic and religious minorities as decision makers in our country, we will not have true peace. We will not pull together as a united country. So I end with that, and also with the observation that, when you look at what happened in 1948 and the lack of accountability and transparency, and the fact that they went through the courts of law, I think the reason is that the masses of people also did not object to what happened then. So if we want our people to object, to protest, they have to be educated. They have to know what's going on. Today, another aspect of our exclusion is what's happening to the pension funds. They are being taxed in a way the corporate funds are not being taxed. And yet, there's nothing that can be done about it, because the people who should be at the table negotiating for them, for those pension funds, are not there. So we need to create an awareness among the general population for justice, both in terms of class exclusion and in terms of ethnic and religious exclusion. Because it is only then that those who lead our country will be responsive, and they're forced. And I thank the elected representative, Professor Piris, who's here, still with us, for being here, and all of you who I think will take the fight on, as you must. Thank you.